Now that I've tricked you into clicking on my video, let's talk about code readability. This is episode 3 of the Python for Beginners tutorial series, and in this video we're going to talk about everything you need to know in order to make your code readable.
Alright, let's call it what this is. This code is a mess. Thousands of lines like these. Well, that's a recipe for chaos, especially on big projects. So first things first, we gotta figure out what this code is all doing. So let's quickly run the program here. And what's your dog's name? Let's put in Bob. So there we go, a little description about the dogs and a little description about Bark Park. Same thing about Meow Wow, little description about all the cats. Where would you like to go? 1 for Bark Park, 2 for Meow Wow. Let's say 1. And this is the reply we get. So then let's try again when we write 2 instead of 1. So let's put in Bob again, put in 2, and this is the response we get. So when we change this around and refactor it so it's more readable, we want to make sure that there's the same output. So stick around for the transformation because we're diving into the code cleanup right now. Alright, let's follow IPO format. IPO format stands for input, process, output. So you start off with your imports, then your constants, then your functions, then your input, your process, and then your output. So let's quickly copy all of this code here, and we'll just paste it over here. And let's rearrange it to IPO format real quick. So we rearranged the code, but there's still room for improvement. pep8 is Python's official style guide, so if you want to write code that looks professional, you need to know pep8. So pep8 is quite large, there's a lot of rules to it, and there's a nice website here, pep8.org. So I recommend going through it and taking a look at everything. But simply put, there's a few rules that we can implement into our program. The most important thing is consistency at the end of the day. And second to that are pep8 rules. So let's start by implementing some pep8 rules, especially some of the most common ones. So first, constant variables must be capitalized. Second, functions and variable names must be descriptive. So let's change up this. Alright, so this code is already looking better now that we have named it. But let's try number 3. White space between major sections, 2 lines of white space between functions. Okay, code comments between major sections and where necessary. Alright, and this is way better now. Let's try making sure that every line is below 79 characters. It's important to note that you can use a special character in Python. For example, let's say over here, that's the 78 characters. So we can just press enter there and put this character here to tell Python, hey, it's the same string, the same line, except it's just that we are making it take up 2 lines of code instead of just 1. And that way it's readable and you don't have to go scrolling this way to understand what it's trying to say. So let's implement that 79 character rule everywhere. For the most part, we've included a bunch of pep8 rules and are mostly up to track with pep8. So now let's focus on the Zen of Python. The Zen of Python is Python's main ideology, like I already mentioned in the first episode of this tutorial series. So I've copied and pasted it here. And let's take a look at this. Beautiful is better than ugly, simple is better than complex, sparse is better than dense, readability counts. We need to make sure that everything here looks beautiful and it's easy to read. So there's some things we can do, like fix up these string concatenations and maybe make them F strings. We could also sort out these dictionaries because currently they all have the same keys, but the order of the keys is different when we declare each variable. We could also put some more code comments and just do a little bit of fine touches here and there. So I've added white space here up to my discretion, but depending on what type of person you are and what works for you, you can either choose to add more white space or remove more white space. In the end, this is your code. Just as a final touch, I'm going to wrap this all in an if name main. That way, people who read the code know that it's a file meant to be ran and not a library. Now, just to make sure everything is working, let's run this again. So let's open up. What's your dog's name? Let's say Bob. Shows the stats. Everything looks basically the same. Oh, so there's some space here, some space here, some space here, some space here, and some space here. We'll fix that in just a second. Let's put one here. And that seems to be working. So what's your dog's name? Bob. Let's put 2. That's also the same. So let's fix all of that white space right now. Alright, let's run this again. What's your dog's name? Bob. And everything seems to be working like normal.
And that's a wrap. Even if you don't work in a team, it's still very helpful to know these code readability techniques, because when you start working on very large projects, you'll need to know what your code means, and trust me, you will forget. Anyways, see you in the next one.